Thank you, and welcome to Literacy for Boys and Literacy for Kids. So, literacy, more than any other skill, is essential to academic success. So, it is alarming that boys are falling behind at every level for the past 40 years. Boys' literacy attainment is a well-known issue all around the world. We know that boys have more negative attitudes towards reading, and it's a real concern. So 1 in 3 Year 9 boys in Australia are not meeting the minimum writing standard. I'd like you to think about that for a moment because it's really quite a problem. 1 in 3 Year 9 boys in Australia are not meeting the minimum writing standards. But is the problem the reader or the reading? So I want to share a story with you. I've been a teacher for many years and I had a tutoring business where I had an 11-year-old boy. He was disengaged. He was gaining C's at best all across his curriculum subjects. He wasn't doing well in maths problem solving because it involved comprehension. He wasn't doing well in science and humanities because that involved research and interpreting that data. So what I decided to do was write content that appealed to him. And we watched his results climb. But he had a school assessment one day, and when I asked how he went, he said, "Tanya, I don't think I did very well because it was on the past monarchs of England." Now, my heart sank because I knew that that was no measure of what he actually knew and understood. So I remember as a teacher finding it really difficult to find that content that was interesting. You would spend all this money on resources to just find there was probably only 3 passages that were appealing to children in your class. So engaging students is the key to their learning. We know this. So we've developed a program where the topics are of high interest. It's a delivery style that kids love, which is technology, and it's in a delivery format that they're intuitive with understanding. So this is where our e-learning really comes into play. So I want you to imagine that instead of giving our 11-year-old boys and girls subjects on past monarchs of England, what if we gave them this? Now, apologies for anyone with vertigo in the room, but this will make sense in a moment. Just let me hop out while I go across to our LMS so I can show you. The first step in our process was really making sure that we know our learners. Okay, we need to make sure that we're actually appealing to boys. So this is the front page. And you will be able to see that we've really gone with a gaming element because this is what boys respond to. It's a matter of matching your branding with the learner audience. On the LMS dashboard, this is what they will see with these tiles. We've actually gone with an army theme. And for those learners who are underachieving, we really removed the word year. So if you have an older student who should be on level 9, but they're really working at level 5, we've taken that out of the program so that they can just be on sergeant. So let's take a quick look. Research shows that you need to give kids choice. You need to match their interest level with the content. So if we scroll down here, we've used the LMS system to really provide students with a whole range of topics that appeal to them. We make sure we cover interests for the boys who are into sports, those who are into science, those who are into animals. Let's take a look at the bungee jumping one. So it's really, really important. I wanted to develop a program that actually covers all the 4 skills. So these 4 literacy skills, if you practice them regularly, this will transfer over to writing and improved literacy skills. So the comprehension, just see. Okay. When I showed you that video before, that was an illustration of the hook that we use to engage our students. So that's what the student would click on. They would see that quick video, nothing more than 2 minutes. This provides context and high interest. From that point, we want our students to then read their passage. And here we've selected what we know to be the 11 core comprehension skills. So the students just scroll down and enter their answers. So you'll be familiar with the LMS system here. So I'm going to skip ahead. They finish their attempt. I want to show you the importance of feedback. And this is where Moodle has been fantastic for that, because the answers the students can use to learn from. Boys love humour. That's really important. So I've made sure to include humour in all of those. So you'll see here, we've spent a lot of time making sure that the boys get that feedback. I want to jump ahead to the next activity to show you how we've really had to stretch the Moodle platform. We'll go back. Okay, so if we have a look here, we needed a program that really reinforces those skills, but I needed it to be visually appealing. So here is one where the students have to enter the answers. Variety is the key, particularly when you have to hold student interest. So we use click and drag, where the students can use this technique. Here we have a drop-down menu for answers. And here we use short answer, where they enter their correct spelling. What I really want to emphasize here is that topics such as grammar and punctuation, as teachers, we really know they're very dry subjects to teach. So I needed to make it engaging and thematic. So in order for those skills to really sink in for students learning, what I needed it to be is connected to bungee jumping or connected to how bubblegum is made. So that was really important for us to be able to do that. Again, punctuation, you need to have it connected to bungee jumping. So here is they can have their select answers. Okay. So I think we've shown you there that our engagement model has been the key. Learner specific is really important because it needs to match what that learner's ability age. We needed to have fun topics. Basic skill focused, as I mentioned before, we really need to cover those core skills because this is a worldwide problem with our children's literacy, so they need to practice those regularly. So basically our model is built around engagement, and we know that it works. So a great learning platform needs to be more than just great topics. You have to have proven results. This is a school that did independent testing before they used the program and after. They used a sample of students who were using the program from levels from years 3, 4, 5 and 6. It's important to share with you that this school had a wide variety in their demographics. They had students where English is a second language, they had low socioeconomic students, and then they had those students attending school who were also more affluent. So they found that after 18 weeks on the program, their students made an average improvement of 12 months in their spelling age, their reading, and their comprehension. In talking with those teachers, they put it down to the fact that the kids just wanted to keep going back and complete more and more units of work. And of course, it's the delivery that they love. They have a natural tilt towards technology. So that was just wonderful feedback. This school are in their 5th year of using the program. I need to also mention here that there were girls on the program at this stage, and they loved the topics. So they weren't fazed that it was a boys' program, and they had equally wonderful results. So I knew that we had the engaging topics as a win, but we had to consider what teachers and schools need. We partnered with Intelliboard to provide analytics where teachers can track student progress. This was essential because schools are really data-driven. What we found is we really had to again push the parameters with our Intelliboard partnership in making sure it was appealing and catering to the lower primary and early secondary teachers. And I think we've done a pretty good job. The feedback from the schools is that the graphs are very easy to access. They can track their whole class, but they can dive in deeper for those students who are at risk. I also, as the founder of the program, wanted graphs where we could keep a close eye on the students who are just our average students or those who need extension. So that was equally important for me because I wanted a program that can be used in the entire school or in an entire classroom. It's not just designed for your at-risk learners. So with every great business, there's challenges that we faced, and we had a few. The first one was really we needed a seamless connection between our public website, the LMS, we needed a gamification plugin that motivated the boys, and we also needed a reporting dashboard. Now, there was a lot of trial and error in this process, especially as these resources, we had to make them match a primary learning environment. They needed to be visually appealing. The quizzes needed to offer variety. And of course, teachers really wanted access to great data. So we had to go back and forth quite a lot, but we've achieved it, and I'm really thrilled with our end result. I also think that we had to use these added resources that essentially are used in work environments and university settings, and we had to change it. The other thing I'd like to mention is that I have 3 children, and 2 of them that's within 2 schools. Both schools use the Moodle platform. However, it's more used as a student data and a calendar setting. So we've really pushed that Moodle LMS system to encompass so much more, and it's a really active tool. The next challenge we faced was teachers' uptake of e-learning. We all know those teachers who are probably a little reluctant or feel a little bit challenged or threatened by the value of e-learning. So we are a huge advocate that e-learning doesn't detract from learning or replace teaching or good teachers. Instead, it really supports what they do. And we've seen the teachers that have taken on our programs have really seen that. It really supports what they do. We've seen a lot of stressed teachers during the lockdown, so we were really, we had to assure them that you didn't have to learn a whole new program. You didn't have to learn all these other technology or skills. And they found that to be fantastic. Even the older teachers that, you know, that are in schools, they've actually embraced it, which has been wonderful. Like many other businesses, we've had the frustration around COVID shutdowns. So the problems with that was it meant that we couldn't actually enter schools. So we couldn't meet teachers face to face. We couldn't meet with heads of curriculum to showcase our product. So instead, we had to find other ways to advertise our product. So we also couldn't attend, obviously, large educational conferences where you could actually meet teachers face-to-face, meet principals and deputies. So we've had to switch and pivot a little bit with our type of advertising. Where to from here? Well, earlier this year, we actually released Literacy for Kids. And this came as a request from so many parents as well as teachers who said that their daughters really loved the program, but they were a little bit reluctant because it was literacy for boys. So we've released Literacy for Kids just the last couple of months, which has been fantastic. It means too that we're more marketable into dual sex schools. Our main goal going forward is gaining traction with schools and teachers. E-learning is becoming more common and accepted in schools. So we are so confident of the literacy results from our programs, which is why we're offering Indigenous and rural remote scholarships. So it is well documented that children that fall under this umbrella and those in lower socioeconomic areas, they have lower performances in literacy than their city cousins. I know as a teacher, when I used to teach in more rural schools, as a teacher, your access to resources are also limited. So we can see how e-learning really removes that barrier for teachers and schools. We're excited about tackling the international domain as well. So currently we're in some New Zealand schools with great success. So that's exciting. So going forward, we'd love to, you know, extend our reach even further. So with that in mind, we have had some great developments in our program from the beginning to the end. We are having great feedback from our schools and great progress. We've also been successful in the homeschooling network, which I think that's another growing industry. So I'd welcome for you to get in contact with us. We're offering free trials so that you can see our program and how the LMS works and how our Intelliboard analytics works in that primary and secondary sphere as well. So please visit our website, either Literacy for Boys or Literacy for Kids. You can call us on this number, or alternatively, please send us a message at info@literacyforboys.com.au. You're also welcome to ask us any questions on the Q&A poll, but thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tanya. That was a fantastic presentation. I'd like to invite anyone in the chat right now. There's about 30 people in the room or so. What kind of questions might you have about using intelligence data for reporting purposes, about the connection between the work that Tanya's team has done and Intelliboard, or any of those pieces? Shazam. You know, I also have the question, Tanya, what's your next, sort of one of the things that we've been talking about in the conference is not looking 5 years out, but looking sort of just what's going to happen in 2022. Like what are your next immediate moves in 2022 in sort of expanding this program and doing your next thing?
I think the biggest thing that we're looking forward to is just extending our reach into those schools. So my biggest thing is, like I mentioned, with the Indigenous and lower socioeconomic areas, we really want to help those schools and we know that we've got that program that all learners can experience. So we're just going to really push hard, and we know that the schools, we've got 100% success rate with our schools currently. So that is absolutely wonderful. Any school that has trialled the program or have been using the program have resubscribed for the following year. So I've still got to really make sure that I keep that high interest level, that we promote it. Word of mouth has been probably our biggest or most successful way of spreading the word. But definitely we've really just got to build our business, and extend our network of schools.
What else is there? What else are the ways to build your business? I mean, are there other ways to, at the risk of shiny object syndrome, other pieces of technology that you want to throw in? I mean, you've got the analytics, you've got Moodle, etc. Is there other pedagogy that you want to throw in? Is there other design elements that you want to throw in? Are there other pieces like that, or
That's a really good question. No, there is. It's a really good question. I think one of the elements that we would like to add to our program is probably some initial testing that is done on the program itself. At the moment, we rely on teachers to give us a level where they know their students sit, and then we enroll them from our end. And I have to say that teachers get that right all the time. It's very rarely that we need to move a student up or down a level. So teachers are fantastic at that, and they know their class and where they sit. What I love about the LMS system is that just takes me moments to make that adjustment. So that's a huge positive. But we are actually looking at something where we can, it'll be self-leveled, I guess. So where perhaps teachers can access a course where the students do a quiz, and then we can sort of level them from there. So that's one thing that we're looking at building into the program.
Excellent. I see, Shay is talking about how she wishes she learned literacy like this. Sheila, you also are, sort of saying, yeah, this sounds like a great idea as well. What's the, final question? I guess, I'll take the final question here. What is the opportunity for scale, outside of your local area to a global platform? It seems like there's a very intensive connection and one-on-one operation with the school. A lot of your business was focused really on that interaction. So how does this scale? It's
actually fantastic in the sense that I very rarely hear from schools, to be honest. It's a very easy uploading process. And I often don't hear from schools. It's actually me reaching out after 6 months saying, is everything okay? Would you like any other support? So I think that's the absolute beauty of the program. It's not labour intensive from my end, which means that all those factors that we mentioned just really do work well. So we do have that LMS sorted, we do have that, reporting process now down pat. So I feel that those things make it operate beautifully on its own, and there's no barriers where we can upscale. It would be, there's no further obstacles to reaching the international, the globe.
Super cool. Tanya, on Learning for Boys, Learning for Kids, I really, really appreciate your presentation today. It sounds like you're doing great work, and I wish you all the luck in achieving that scale and the next iteration in 2022 as well. Yes. For everyone who's in the chat, please do. If you'd like to find Tanya, all you have to do is go into the chat.